The other story that we're going to be covering tonight, there seems to be a lot of chatter around the NFL about these big name wide receivers who are looking for deals not showing up to the offseason workouts. Big names like AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, all looking for new deals. And there are reports saying that they will not be showing up to the voluntary workouts and maybe not even the offseason, the training camp, all that stuff leading into the season. AJ, I'll start with you here, sir. What are your thoughts on these guys holding out? Are you on team holdout or are you on team show up and practice?
For now, I'm okay with the holdout. We're talking OTAs. It's not too big of a deal for me. This is those moments where you do let your feelings be heard. Let all that nonsense be out there in the open. Start talking to me when we get closer to mini training camps and workouts like that, closer to the season. If these guys are still making noise and saying they don't want to play, then we have an issue. But this early before the draft, I mean, Deebo Samuel. I mean, yeah, it's been 3 months or whatever, but still, like, just got done in the playoffs. AJ Brown had the injury last season. Terry McLaurin, he's going to show up. He's not going to participate. That's a great way to go about it in my mind as one of the leaders on that team. But it's too early for me to really read too much into it. It's them letting their feelings be known with the organization and see if anything comes of it. We get into mandatory workouts and they're not there, we could have a larger conversation on my part.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And Aaron, I messaged you about this earlier today, asking if this really belonged in the top stories, and I felt like it did. But your response, and I'm just going to roll into this. Your response was, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And you're right. It should not matter. But this is what's happening. Now people are blaming these wide receivers and calling them bad teammates, divas, and things like that. This quote from AJ Brown says, quote, I'm a diva and a bad teammate all of a sudden. LOL. Okay. Do what I have to do then, and so will I. This is happening. People are getting mad at these wide receivers for wanting just to get paid what they deserve. And I feel like that's why I needed to bring this up, because like what you, AJ, said, it's not that big of a deal that they're missing these workouts right now because they don't want to get hurt. They get hurt in voluntary workouts. We've seen it happen many of times before. A torn ACL, even in light work, it's possible. And then they lose all of that money. So why force these players to go to these workouts and risk their injury when they have big money on their horizon? That's where I'm at with this, Aaron.
It's not that they're being forced. Let's be honest. Most of the complaints, most of the people that are talking are fans. Fans don't want to hear multimillionaire receivers complain about wanting a new deal. As sad as it sounds, regular people, you and I, most of us don't understand what it is that they are risking. You mentioned losing a ton of money. No matter how you want to slice it, if AJ Brown goes out tomorrow and tears his ACL, you don't think Tennessee would use that in a negotiating tactic against him? Like, well, we're not sure how you can come back. We're not sure if you're going to be back in time for the season. We're not going to give you as much money. If you don't think that would happen, then you're naive to the NFL business. These guys have performed it through their first 3 years in the league as top high-level receivers, right? We're talking about Deebo Samuel, who coming off a career year, AJ Brown, who's had 3 really good seasons for Tennessee, and Terry McLaurin, who's been basically the model of what you want from a wide receiver. And now they're saying, hey, we are underpriced. We right now, because we've outperformed our rookie deals, we deserve to get paid. There is nothing wrong with that. The reason I don't care is not because I don't think it's important to be there during off-season workouts, because it is. Rapport with your quarterback, things like that, especially for a guy like Terry McLaurin, who has a new quarterback coming in, right? A Carson Wentz who struggled. Deebo Samuel, who now you're going to see Trey Lance coming in, trying to build that rapport. It's important to be there. But is it more important than sacrificing your career? I don't think so. I think you have time to get there. I think right now, I think the only one in jeopardy of really not getting a deal is Deebo. And it's because of the way I think he sees himself as a value to that team and what they've required him to do. AJ Brown in Tennessee will work something out. Terry McLaurin's been great for Washington. They'll work something out. Deebo Samuel, I'm worried that this may linger. I'm not saying it's not going to get done, but this is something that might linger late into the offseason. If they don't decide to say, you know what, we're not going to pay you, and maybe they move on from him. But I'm not too concerned at this point. Maybe something happens during the draft that you see, especially if you see a team like the 49ers go out and draft a wide receiver. Then you start thinking, maybe they're not as sold on Deebo, and maybe they don't want to pay him because they got Brandon Ayuk there. And if they go and draft one, then maybe it's not as important to them. So the draft will tell a lot more, but I don't think it's a huge deal right now.